The class here at Rivals is 23rd with 7. This is 25 class with 7 4-stars. That's pretty significant for the program. 3 offensive linemen, 2 defensive linemen, and 2 DBs within that 4-star mix, and also a pretty high 3-star quarterback in Grady Adamson. So talk about the 2025 class and who might be able to contribute as early as this season.
I don't want to say historic and obviously embellish a little bit, but that was a significant class for Georgia Tech, right? And to go through it a little bit, because I covered it, it was massive, right? When they flipped Tay Harris from Clemson to come to Tech, that was one of the biggest ones. I had all eyes on that. I ended up breaking that story. You know, he is going to be a difference maker year one, I think, for them. Now, we'll see how the first couple of games go, because you know how it goes, obviously, Greg. Like, first couple of games, you might not play a lot, but that's a guy, I think, towards the end of the season, whoa, this kid is good. And he just squatted 500 pounds already as a freshman. Yes, already doing big things. And then Dalen Pinson was massive out of Sandy Creek. He just squatted 425. Obviously, he was a big guy. They had to fend off USC to land him, Greg. USC was pushing him really hard, but they kept him obviously here. And then one of the bigger flips as well was Peyton Joseph, committed to Florida State. They was able to flip him towards the end of that cycle along with a Tay Harris. So you get 2 blue chip guys on your offensive line. And Josh Petty from Fellowship Christian, he was not the biggest guy, but he's going to mold into a star, I think, on the offensive line. You know, offensive line, it takes time. You got to develop them, different nuances and things like that. But that guy was a 5-star prospect coming out. That was a big get for them not to allow him to go to Florida State and other big ACC programs as well. So he's going to be big. And then Christian Garrett, last one. He was committed to Georgia for the longest time. Georgia ended up flipping one of their safety guys, and Rashawn Dinkins. They ended up flipping, obviously, Georgia Tech did, him from Georgia to come to the Flats. So when you're getting those in-state wins, that is massive. Oh, yeah. Obviously, Georgia's a top class, but when you're able to do that, that helps. So my 2, I would say, is definitely Tay Harris. I'll say definitely Dalen Pinson as key contributors early, you know, that can definitely help out. And I want to see what Derry Norris is able to do year one. And the last one no one knows about, this is an underrated one, Andre Fuller. He had a pressure. He had 2 pressures in the spring game. Nobody knows that name. Comes from Grayson. Just won a state championship. That is a name to know on the defensive line. He could make a big impact year one.
All right. So Fuller, where is he? He's down here, 3-star. Where's Fuller?
Yes, sir.
What did I miss him? Oh, there he is. Okay. So he's up here. Andre Fuller out of Georgia. And so he's a high 3. He's actually the highest 3-star on the team I could see. Yes. And then you're telling me that the top guys that you think could definitely contribute, well, obviously you're all bent out of shape with Ty Harris, so that's great to hear. So you think he could are you looking at a player who could actually start day one?
I don't know about start day one. Okay. It's tough with Coach Peoples and Coach Jones. Maybe not start day one, but he will get playing time. Similar to, I don't know if you remember, Greg, you remember KJ Bolden. He didn't really start, but he got significant playing time that first game against Clemson. I see that for Tate starting. And then maybe down the line, because they got Clayton Powell-Lee and they got Omar Daniels. That's going to be hard to start.
Okay. Yes, sir. And then also Penson, the other defensive back from Georgia, who looks like he's their highest rated 4-star here, or one of their highest rated. So you have him up there as well as someone who can contribute. So Harris and Penson, Fuller's the underrated one. Did you say someone else also in that mix that I didn't get?
I want to see what Derry Norris was a big get for them. So I know we're going to talk about
Derry Norris.
He's from Spruce Creek. They just got his teammate as well, Freddie Wilson, in 26th class. I want to see what he's able to do if he can contribute early. He also had a pretty productive spring as well.
All right, there you go. So that's the recruiting. Let's now pop on the RLED's depth chart. And I also want you to let me know as we go through this, if you notice whether or not some of these players should be, starters, backups, whatever, because we're not going to be perfect on these depth charts, especially in college with all these players and transfers and everything going on. So we definitely appreciate your help if you see something that sticks out. Okay, so let's start on offense. And you mentioned those 2 receivers from FIU, and there's Eric Rivers. You mentioned, of course, Rutherford, who was such a big part of their offense, as you know, the last couple of years with Singleton. It was so kind of cool to see those kids play. And I know they're not the biggest guys, but, they're really exciting to watch. So you're so dead on that they needed to keep Rutherford after losing Singleton. So it was really nice that they were able to do that. So talk about we'll start at receiver because it looks like they've got several transfers that are coming in, including Eric Rivers, which will be really important with the loss of Singleton.
Yeah, 100%. So like I said, those guys that's going to be big is obviously Eric Rivers. So you guys got that 100% right. He's going to play start. They really like him. They like his upside. They like his speed, his deep ball threat ability, his ability to catch passes and go down the field deep. So he's definitely going to start. The interesting part is the Z, as you mentioned here. I still believe it would be Dean Patterson at the Z, but they love Isaiah Kenyon. That is another name to know. He's going to get significant playing time this year. He is big, massive receiver. So Tech has been known for kind of having those smaller, kind of shifty guys.
Yeah.
They got some big boys now, and Isaiah Kenyon is another big boy. Expect for him to be used in the red zone. And again, that's just now. Fall camp, it could change. Maybe it is Kenyon, but as I know now, probably going to be Patterson at the Z, with obviously Kenyon getting a lot of time, rotating those guys in, and obviously Rutherford will have that other boundary spot as well.
Okay, so it sounds like you think that this is a pretty deep group.
Without a
Rivers,
doubt.
Kenyon, Rutherford, Patterson, and Taylor.
They got Bailey. Another name nobody's talking about. He just squatted, I think, over 500 pounds. Bailey Stockton. No one talks about that name. That name just gets swept under the rug. But that's a guy, I mean, consistently third and long or third down. You need a guy to get that first down yardage. He is him. He's the one to get the ball to. He's like a Wes Welker in the NFL, right? A Dami Amendola. Get the ball to him. You're going to get a first down every single time. He's going to have a role as well.
Okay. Do you think that Raheem Smith should be ahead of him in the depth chart?
Probably not. I would probably go Bailey Stockton. That's just me personally, because they love him. They rotated him a lot last year. I think it'll be the same. He'll definitely get some playing time. I'll probably put Smith after him, in my opinion.
That's okay. All right. So there you go. That's wide receiver. Now let's talk about the other skill position, because you mentioned the kid, Hosley, to back up Haynes. And that's going to be really important because of Haynes King ability to not only throw, but run. That's what really makes Haynes King a special player. And I think what's really going to be important too is that, and I know he's going to run, he's going to have his runs, and there's nothing you can do about it. That's what makes him a really special player in college, Haynes King. But maybe if he can, at least in certain situations, spread out the opportunity to just hand the ball off more. And I'm just saying, because the wear and tear on his body, you see him missing games here and there. We saw how important it was and how it really hurt the program last year when he missed those couple of games. And they've got two really good backs now, especially Haynes.
The thing is, on the surface level, it's going to look like two really good backs. This is one of their deepest running back rooms they've probably had in the tenure of Brent Key. Now, Key's been on record of that. Jamal Haynes has been on record of that during the spring, saying that. No one talks about Traylon Maddox. Bulldozer, 6'2", athletic, physical, can run in between the tackles and has that burst of speed to get to that second level quickly. In the spring game, another standout, J.P. Powell, came in. Mind you, he just graduated in December. He ran for over 40 to 50-plus yards in the spring game. So they are so deep at that position. And we didn't even talk about the veterans with Chad Alexander and obviously freshmen coming in, Shane Marshall. They are so deep there. And it's going to help because last year, no one knows this, but Jamal Haynes was dealing with nagging injuries, right?
Yeah.
Those hamstrings and things like that. He's going to be able to be so fresh because you got Malachi Hosley, who has the experience, right? He knows what to do. And then he's going to be able to keep him fresh. And then let's say it's late in the fourth quarter, Greg. They need to throttle the team down. They need to take away some possessions and bleed that clock. They got a bulldozer and Traylon Maddox that's going to be fresh, that they can go in there and win the game and ice it along with Jamal Haynes and Malachi Hosley. They are very deep at this position.
Okay. Haynes King and that quarterback spot. Tell me, first of all, with King, what is it that you would want to see? Do you think they want to see? Maybe he even wants to see him do a little bit better in order to put it all together in his final season?
That's a great question. This is going to sound weird, but I'm just going to say stay healthy.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at. Just stay healthy. If he can stay healthy, the sky's the limit to me. Last year, okay, what was the big question from obviously 2023 to 2024? Take care of the football. He had so many interceptions. Remember that Clemson game? He had 4 interceptions in that game on the road. He brought that down, that number all the way down to like 2. So like taking care of the football, not forcing the ball, taking what the defense gives you. You know what I'm saying? Making the big plays when it's there. And then when he was healthy, they were 5-2. You know what I'm saying? They were a formidable team. So I think for King, it's just staying healthy. I think he's quick. He's fast. He knows how to run the RPO game very well. He knows how to look at his reads. He can throw the deep ball very well. He's good in the intermediate. I think for King is just at this point in his career, It is just staying healthy. He got all the reps. He has the experience. He knows what to do. I think it's just staying healthy.
Okay, how's the rest of the room look? Because it's very young, which is good. So when Kings leaves, how do you think? Well, first off, how do you think this room might look? Are they look like they're set as far as we know who their number one guy off the bench will be, but hopefully we won't see any of these guys this year very much. But what do you think about this group of young quarterbacks and exactly how you think it might look in the next couple of years?
It's a very good stable, right? Their guy, as you know, is going to be Aaron Philo, right? That's going to be kind of the predecessor, the successor, obviously, after King is gone, right? Obviously, he's very accomplished and decorated in his career. He's won, I think, 2 or 3 state championships here in Georgia with Prince Avenue Christian. So he's played in the big game. He's won the big game. We can go back to NC State. Game on the line. They need a drive. He goes down, wins the game with his feet, with his legs. No one talks about his legs, but he's a true dual threat guy. So he's going to be ready to go. And he has been kind of that USP, that unique selling point, obviously, for Georgia Tech, when you look at the recruiting for this next class, right? You look at 2026 and guys they're getting, right? Darnell Collins, right? You look at Jeremy Winston. You look at Kentrell Davis. Next year, 2027, they already got a guy that's a 4-star player off the board, and Jordan Christie from Southwest DeKalb. So just having Philo is helping them get big-time guys that want to come to Tech, not only just playmakers, but also guys on the offensive line. Then you look at Graham Knowles, massive, 6'6", 6'7", obviously big, strong arm, just putting it together. It's just such a deep room, you know, obviously King, Philo, and then Adamson. They love Adamson, right? He has a bright future as well. It's just, can they stay patient enough before their opportunity comes, right? Because you got NIL coming around, right? You got revenue share, and people are going to be looking at quarterbacks. And it's like, how long do you want to stay patient enough? And with Philo, obviously, he's a redshirt freshman. He has time, right? So it could be a year or 2 before Knowles or even Adamson maybe touches the field. Sure. Are they okay with that? Or they want to play early? That's kind of the biggest question.
That's why it's good you just keep loading that up as best you can, because they're going to leave. Someone's going to leave. Exactly. So you just got to keep making sure you've got at least 2. You have 2. Yes. I think that's the best you can hope for nowadays in big-time college football. And you can't get greedy with 3. Okay. No. So what about, by the way, do they have anything at the tight end spot? They lost a big guy. So is there someone that could come up and replace the production? How do they look at tight end?
Tight end, they look pretty good. I think you were spot on with this roster. Obviously, Brett Seether's a guy they really like. I think Luke Harpring is going to be that sophomore you see, obviously, take that next step this year. He had a really good game against North Carolina and that went on the road. They're gonna feature him a lot more. And then they got JT Byrne, obviously, from Wake Forest to kind of come through and kind of solidify that position and obviously beat them, if he can stay healthy and things like that. But this is another unit. It's probably not like their most talented, but it is a unit that can produce, has good experience, knows what to do. And for the tight end, they really want you to be able to block. They want you to be able to block, run different H-back formations, and then when it is time, be that safety blanket. So another part that you want to see with Tech is that intermediate. So if that deep ball is not there for Rutherford or Rivers or Patterson, they can dump it off to a Seether or a Harpering, and they can get good yards. So another really good group experience. I think they'll be fine there as well.
Okay. Just no standouts or anything like that.
Yeah, nothing crazy.
Okay. All right. Offensive line. And this is definitely where it all starts with the Brent Key offense. And they had a really good experienced line last year. They lost a couple of big-time players for the program. So it looks like here they're adding Will Reed. Is that the case? Will he start at right tackle? They added a few freshmen, but freshman offensive linemen rarely start, even though, as we said, 4 stars. So that's good for the future. So how's the offensive line looking right now?
So that, I think that's still, they're going to just be kind of that work in progress, still, figuring things out. Obviously, you got it right with Ethan McKinney. He's going to play. He's going to start. Joe Fusal as well is going to be another one that's going to start for them. And then Keelan Rutledge is their all ACC guy, right? And then when you look at obviously center and you look at obviously right tackle, right? They brought in Malachi Carney as a piece, obviously from South Alabama, to kind of help with depth. Obviously there, right? They brought in Andrew Rosinski from North Carolina, formerly of Creekview here in Georgia, to kind of help with that depth as well. So I think it's a position they feel good about. They've been rotating in, obviously, the freshman we just talked about with what is his name? Peyton Joseph. They like what they see from him, the young guy. But as you said, I think they're going to go veteran to start, but you could see kind of like that Petty as he continues to grow and flourish. Riggs, who obviously comes over and he's ready to go. Probably see them get more playing time, obviously, especially, if you see any struggles. But for the most part, It's pretty solidified as how you have it, but don't be surprised if you see maybe some of them freshmen start later on in the year as they continue to develop.
Okay, is that competition? Is there going to be a camp competition for any of those spots, including right tackle, or do you think the 5 are pretty set?
I think the 4 are set. I think that right tackle position is going to be one to watch.
Okay.
You know, for me, obviously Reed comes over. He's going to establish obviously Malachi Carney, like I said, from South Alabama, and then Peyton Joseph, that freshman that we were talking. I think that is going to be a competition, in my humble opinion. But I think everything else they feel pretty good about.
All right. Let's take a look at the defense, because the defense is definitely going to have to keep heading in the right direction. It looks like they're going to have the ability to score. So the question, though, is when they play the big-time teams, can they hold up defensively? Possible here. Looks like we've got 4 transfers potentially starting, and a lot of transfers, by the way, it looks like here, thrown into the 2 deep. So how many of these transfers do you think will end up starting?
Yeah, great question. I think you'll probably see Matthew Alexander. You guys hit that nail on the head there. I think he will probably start for you. I feel like that left defensive end and obviously right defensive end, I think that's still kind of, up in the air, in my opinion. Obviously, I'm going to go to fall camp and get a better, feel for that, obviously, to see where that's at. But they like Braden Manley, right? Like I said, he had a really productive spring. He was creating pressure. SoCon Defensive Player of the Year, obviously, last year. FCS All-American. The guy can play. The key here, and we'll just start with defensive line before we go to other positions, they need to get pressure. They was one of the worst teams in creating pressure and sacks last year. They need somebody to come in there. Besides Jordan Vandenberg, he's the star on the defense, if you didn't know. That is the star, obviously, for them on the interior. But they need more pressure, whether that's A.J. Hoffler from Clemson, or that's Ronald Triplett coming over for UTSA, or that's Matthew Alexander coming over from, obviously, UCF. They need pressure from that position, which is why they went out and got Akilo Stone, formerly of Georgia Tech. Obviously went to Ole Miss, played really well, was the 3rd highest graded player on their defense last year per PFF. So it's just who's going to step up. Will it be a true freshman like we mentioned earlier with Andre Fuller? Will it be obviously, Braden Manley? Who's going to create pressure and help out that defense and that secondary that's really deep as well?
Well, what do you think from what you've seen, whether so far this season or from what you've heard, what you know about these kids coming over? Who are you the most excited about?
I'm excited about Manley.
Manley.
Yeah, I'm excited about Triplett and Manley. I want to see what they're going to be able to do, obviously in this defense, being able to contribute early and often. So those are the ones I'm excited about. Also, I would say Christian Garrett. I want to see what he can do as a true freshman. Obviously, talk about him being a blue chip prospect in the 25 class. Can he help? Will he be able to spell, obviously, Jordan Vandenberg when he comes out of games? Because that's the key, too, Greg. When they go out the game, does that production drop off, right? Yep. We cannot have that. Like, if Tech is going to be a good team this year, they cannot have drop-offs when Vandenberg's not in the game or Triplett's not in the game or Matthew Alexander's not in the game. They still got to be able to have that high-end production.
All right. What about the rest of the units starting? And well, let's just talk about the back 7. So Efford, he definitely sticks out. They really need a big year from him, right?
Yeah, he's been good all across his career. He dealt with a couple of injuries last year, some nicks and different things like that, but he's been their leading tackler. He's a guy that is really good at being in the box, right? Really good at disguising and seeing what's about to happen, right? The biggest thing with the linebackers where they've struggled, Greg, is in coverage, right? That intermediate part of the field, right? You go back and look at Elijah Arroyo of Miami last year. He went straight across the middle and he was gone. Now, he's an elite player. Don't get me wrong, but that's where they struggle, right? I'll give you another game. Orton Gaston lit him up. Obviously, same kind of thing. That intermediate part of the field, 2 touchdowns, nearly 100 yards receiving. So that's the kind of part to see if they get better. A name to know here, obviously, EJ Lightsley is going to start. Kyle Eaff is going to start. It's solidified. Can Taj Butler, can he come in as a sophomore, which a lot of people on the team are high on? Can he be a significant contributor, right? Can you use him in the third downs and distances to help out your linebackers when you're running the 4-2-5, right? Can he come down and blitz and create pressure on the quarterback to not allow him to read what's going on? That is the kind of name to know to see if he can come and help them out.
Okay, so Butler out of the linebackers, obviously we know about Effort, but Butler's the one that could really help them if he can take that next step.
100%.
Okay.
100%.
And what about those? They got a couple of transfers there. What about Jordan and Spalding?
Yeah, so obviously Melvin Jordan, he obviously comes over, this past offseason, had a pretty productive spring as well. He was solid, but like I said, he'll be in that reserve role. So similar to Taj Butler, obviously special teams role coming in, obviously spilling, different downs and distances, obviously from Lightsey and obviously Eford. How much can he help out? And Cayman Spalding, same kind of thing, reserve role. Obviously, we'll see kind of the impact he'll have. But yeah, those two will kind of rotate in essentially.
All right. And what about the secondary? How
Yeah,
is the secondary? It looks like they have up to potentially anywhere from 4 to 5 transfers that are going to make a difference. And also Tay Harris, who you spoke about pretty highly. So first the holdovers. Who's the best out of the holdovers?
The best, in my opinion, call it a hot take if you want to. Amari Harvey, I think, is going to establish himself as one of the top corners in the nation this year. I really think so. I think this is a top unit in the ACC. I think you're going to see, who's one of the best secondaries? I think you're going to see Georgia Tech. It goes back to the pedigree that we talked about, Blake Gideon, obviously, and what he was able to do at Texas with those guys. I think you're going to see the similar thing with the development. They've already talked very highly of him, how he's obviously letting them see the field, the film study. But Amari Harvey is a guy physical at the point of attack. He can press. Right, he's really good with the ball in the air, getting his head turned around and putting a play on the ball. I think you're going to see Georgia Tech, another area that you want to watch for this year, that they struggle a little bit with, creating more turnovers. I think Harvey's a guy that you could see get 3 or 4 interceptions this year, probably 5 to 10 pass deflections. That is a name to know, in my humble opinion. I think he is primed for a big year.
Okay. Now, what about the new guys? You already talked about Harris. So who is, it looks like Gilmore. I mean, is he, do you think Gilmore or White? Is that a battle for the top spot at nickel? And who do you like the most? Who do they like the most as far as the transfers?
Yeah, man. I mean, obviously, when you look at the nickel spot and helping them out, obviously, I like Daquan White a lot. Kelvin Hill, he played at UAB. Obviously, he had a really good, productive, career with them. Obviously, his freshman season, getting obviously 10 starts. So just who emerges, and that could be, to be honest with you, Greg, a position that rotates right a little bit, right? Obviously, Daquan White. He was a freshman All-American at Eastern Michigan, played 2 seasons there before coming down. He's a hard hitter. You know what I'm saying? He reads and reacts very well. Savion Riley obviously comes over from Colorado. He's another guy that has a lot of experience and things like that. So I think it's a position that you'll see that kind of go down towards the wire, them kind of rotating in and to kind of see who establishes. But I think they like the depth there, which is why they got so many transfers, Greg. Remember, go back to that Georgia game, right? They were flying. They was going out like flies, basically. Like they just did not have enough there, and everybody was injured. This year, they go get guys out of the portal. They get guys that freshmen that can play early, and Tay Harris, Dalen Pinson, that can really help out and solidify this position a lot, in my humble opinion. So those would be the names to know for me. And then I also got to give love to Zachary Tobey and Rodney Shelley. They've been in the program for a long time. They're ready for their moments. I think they will be also massive this year as well.
Okay, Gilmore, do you think he should be penciled in as the starter right now, or is it an open competition?
I think it's open. In my opinion, I think it's open.
And that's between what? Gilmore, White, and Hill, you think? Those 3?
I think so.
Okay. And who do you like the most out of the 3?
Oh, good question. I really like Daquan White. I mean, Kelvin Hill is great too, but I really like Daquan White with his experience. Comes from a high school that was really good, that trains you well, different kind of mentality at Creekside. Obviously, a team that's been knocking on the door for a state championship. Yeah, I mean, it's obviously Gilmore has an inside track, but I think
okay. Where does Gilmore come from?
Gilmore comes from Penn State.
Penn State. Okay. Yep. All right. So, by the way, how's the special teams looking? Because I know the special teams was a problem.
Ooh, man, they love this kid. They got a UNLV, that punter, Marshall Nichols. They have said on record they believe he is going to be a weapon. I mean, how many times do you hear that about your punter? So they really like that kid. Obviously, he comes back from back home. Obviously, he played here. It's high school ball here, obviously in Georgia, but he comes back. They really like him. So then that would be a position that helps them out a lot. And then it's just, I think it's just Aiden Burr taking that next step, being able to consistently hit those 45, 50-yard, field goals and beyond. Because he was a little inconsistent last year. Some games they won, like he was great. There was other games he wasn't the best, So obviously getting that position together, and then it's going to be those guys we mentioned, right? The Kelvin Hills, the Savion Rileys, right? Obviously Daquan White. The coverage is massive, right? Can you make a team start inside that 20-yard line? Can you not allow them to get good field position so your defense isn't put in a bad
Yeah.
spot? They struggled with that part last year a little bit too. So I'm curious to see who they're going to start as their 11. Obviously on special teams, because that's going to be massive to watch as well in terms of field position and different things like that.
Yeah, I'm actually a little bit surprised that because and look, it's not like Key's been here for 10 years or anything like that, but when you build a team the way Key is, you really, if you want to be the type of team that he wants to have, you really have to have a good special teams. And
Yes.
that's something that they haven't had. So they haven't, by the way, do they have a new special teams coach or is it the same guy?
No, he left. It was Ricky Brumfield. They had got an interim. He obviously got an extension, but he ended up having to leave the team. Some things.
Well, that's good,
things
isn't it? I mean, they didn't have a good special teams last year, did they?
No, it wasn't too hot. It was okay. It wasn't too hot though.
No,
yeah. It wasn't too hot.
So sometimes it was like, addition by subtraction, right?